Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to another Masters of Brickjitzu live stream. It's been a little bit since we've done one, but there was some big stuff that happened. Ninjago Legends Monstrosity, a brand new campaign aimed at older fans of Ninjago, has officially been put out into the world. There's 3 shorts, each are 5-ish minutes long for a total of 15-minute journey into Kai's inner feelings. It's a character study. I'm Logan. With me, as always, is my co-host. It's good old Kyle. How are you, Kyle?
I'm doing good, Logan. How are you?
I'm doing great. Um, so while we are talking about this tonight, I'm actually going to have Kyle building a Lego set. Do you want to tell us what set you're building tonight?
I am building the Dragons Rising Tournament Battle Arena.
There we
Very cool
go.
set.
It does look like a very cool set, and we will see if you can finish building that before we finish the stream tonight. So good luck.
That will be quite the challenge. We'll see how far I get. I'll
Absolutely.
start opening.
I'm just going to do one quick audio test to make sure. Yep, not that bad of a delay.
I do not like it when it's the punch tabs.
So, Ninjago Monstrosity, 3 shorts, each delving into a different aspect of Kai and the character that we've come to love over the past 14 years. There's 3 characters in this, technically 4. So we mainly follow Kai, as voiced by Vincent Tong, in what I think is probably his best vocal performance of all time.
I would agree. Yeah, it's honestly phenomenal.
The amount of range that he's able to give to this performance, this iteration of Kai, it's truly amazing. The places that he takes his tone, he truly embodies the character of Kai in a way that is very familiar, but also something new that we've not really seen from him before. So do you want to break this down episode by episode?
What was that?
Do you want to break this down episode by episode, or how do you want to do this?
Yeah, let's go through it episode for episode.
Okay, so episode 1, we are introduced to Kai. He's in the realm of monsters, and he comes across a dragon, and the dragon's name is Didan. I don't believe they ever really say that in the shorts, but that's what she's credited as. She's voiced by Fiona Hogan. Her character direction, her baby dragon was killed by this great big monster, and so she wants to kill it. Now, does she kill it? That's to be decided. Obviously, Kai steps in and stops her from doing that. Shows her that there's a better way. But I think it's also good to take advantage of the medium of 2D animation. You can do these much larger scenes, if you will. I don't know. How did you feel about it, Kyle? We could back
I
off.
thought it was honestly. Yeah, I mean the animation was amazing. I mean, it's that. Is it like the exact same like? Because it looks just like the what was that? The reimagined
Yep, Golden
shorts or
Legend.
that?
Yeah, and so we did find out while I was at the premiere. That was the big thing that I wanted to figure out. And it
Yeah,
is the exact same animation that did Golden Legend. And this is definitely a spiritual successor to Golden Legend. So even though Golden Legend
definitely.
was not canon, these 3 shorts are canon. And initially, they weren't supposed to be. That's one thing that I learned this week, is that the
Wow,
shorts themselves were never meant to be canon. They just wanted to do the sets based off of the performance of the Dragonstone Shrine and Cole's Titan Mech. They saw that there was room there that adult Ninjago fans, older Ninjago fans really wanted, and so they decided to do the Legends campaign. Um, and so
uh,
it was actually the writers of Ninjago, Kevin and Doc Wyatt, that decided, hey, actually, we want to take this concept and, make it canon. Like, we want to do some canon shorts with this. And everyone up top agreed. And so that's how Monstrosity kind of got off the ground.
that is really interesting. Wow.
Yeah. um,
So cool.
yeah, so obviously Ninjago, this was never going to be anything much larger than just a few different shorts. Ninjago has like an allocated budget for shorts every year. Like last year we had the Mech Rider shorts. Year before that, I think was the Core shorts. So you know,
The cool parts. Those were fun.
the courts, if you will.
Exactly.
But I think that they definitely use these to tell like a nice little story. Like this was not something that we needed to see, but I am glad that we got to see it. Uh,
Exactly. No, I'm in the same camp there. It was really cool to see. I like it when Ninjago gets to really experiment, do something different on both like a visual level and also like a tonal level as well, because you can really feel like this, similar to the Golden Legend one. It really stands on its own in that way.
Absolutely. I think even if you weren't like this was obviously made for hardcore Ninjago fans, but I do think that you could take up enough and figure out what's going on, um, and get good stuff out of this.
Yeah.
So the second short, Kai enters what's known as the Cave of Change, and he finds this very large robot who belonged to a fire master of the past. So that's some interesting lore there that we didn't know. We found another fire
Oh yeah.
master. And so when he entered the Cave of Change, the former fire master entered the Cave of Change with his robot, um, and basically the Cave of Change transformed the former Master of Fire into this centipede monster. I think the interpretation that the show went with it was that anyone that entered was kind of molded into the centipede, so like every body part of the centipede was built upon the last person that entered in the cave. Um, or at least that was my interpretation of the mural. I don't know if you had a different interpretation, but
Yeah, no, I feel the same. I think that's what made the most sense.
yeah. So Kai has to, kind of reignite the spark from the Fire Master's mech and get him to kind of get back in the fight. Let him know that there's a reason to live, carry on, and the two of them, have to take on the former Master of Fire who has been turned into this centipede monster. And when they do that, Kai says, let me destroy him for you, because he knew how hard that would be for the fire mech, and the fire mech was, no, this is something that I have to do, which was very cool. It was a really cool moment. I think all three episodes just got progressively better as it went through. Like, I mean, the first episode absolutely amazing, but I think each one built upon concepts in the last and fully fleshed out what something like this could be. Um,
Yes,
if you feel the
I
same
totally.
way. Um,
No, I do absolutely. I like that it was building on it instead of just doing stuff that was completely separate from each other. It's nice how it's all, it makes sense why it was all released together in that one thing because it all does connect really well.
Absolutely. And I mean,
Um,
all of it together really is. I mean, this is an anthology show, where you're kind of just picking up with Kai through different points in time. Speaking of when the shorts take place, there was a lot of confusion on whether this was before he met up with Lloyd or if this was after he met up with Lloyd. Post merge, this, as far as my interpretation is, and it even seems like there's a little bit of questioning on Lego's side of when it takes place, but my interpretation is that it takes place before, for a reason that I'll get into in a minute, but also because Kai is walking around with the scanner for the bounty. So he's looking for the bounty. So he has not yet
mm,
got the bounty. And he has the bounty in the flashbacks where he meets up with Lloyd. So, um,
that makes sense then.
yeah.
Yeah.
But moving on to the final episode, we're already there. You gotta quickly build, Kyle. We're almost done. No, I'm kidding. Um,
Speed up this
you
build.
gotta speed it up. Get done. No, so the final episode shows Kai he's truly at his breaking point. With the other two episodes, he was more zen, thinking, helping others. But at this point, he's broken. He's not been able to find a bounty. He's not seen anyone else. The fire mech says he has no purpose, and Al Kai's like, "Well, I've got to find a purpose for you too now. This is ridiculous." Um, and so that's when, at his lowest point, he sees Master Wu's ghost. It appears to him, but Kai thinks it's real. It's a hallucination. So Kai starts, charging towards that. He wants this to be over. He wants this nightmare to be over. The land of monsters is not for the weak. And he finally gets to the end, and there's this pond. And in the pond, he sees all of the ninja together, and it's kind of serenading him, saying, "Come into the water. We'll take you home. You finally made it." And he goes, "Well, this realm is crazy. Why not there be a portal to my home in a lake?" Obviously, the fire mech thinks this is wrong. Something's amiss here. And so Kai starts walking into the water, and he says, I think one of the coolest and most impactful lines is, "You're just saying that because you need me, but I don't need you. I need them. They're why I'm here." I loved his delivery on that. Like, that was just the coolest moment of all three episodes for me. It truly showed, like, where Kai's headspace was. Um, and so
I
obviously,
totally agree.
yeah. You're in the zone there, Kyle.
I'm in the zone with this build.
How many pages in are you?
I'm 14 pages
14
in.
pages in. Wow.
Yeah. All this progress.
That's impressive. It's impressive. Um,
I'm trying.
but obviously, Kai disappears into the water, and he starts to drown. At which point, Daigon, if I'm saying that right, I've already forgotten her name. Yeah, Daidan. Sorry, Daidan. Shows back up, and she says, "Well, it looks like you're the one that's in need of help this time, Fire Master." And so then she gets a vision of her child who's dead in the water, starts to follow it in. Obviously, the fire mech decides, and really, he's labeled as a mech in the credits, but not once during any of the show do we see anyone inside of him riding him like a mech. He's really more of a robot, but the set is
Yeah.
mech, so I will continue to refer to him as a mech. So the mech, obviously, he also gets a vision. He gets a vision of his master, and at that point, he's already had his resolution with his master in the last episode, where they burned his robes, defeated the monster,
Yes.
defeated the centipede. So he's fully actualized as a character, and he sacrifices himself by blowing up the monster, therefore, setting Kai and Daidan free. At which point Kai's like, "Well, there's a lot it takes to, survive the land of monsters, but you just can't give up. You gotta have your friend." And so the sacrifice really is what helps Kai move on. And as he starts to walk off to continue his journey, even though we know where it's going, you see the moment where color starts to flow back into the world, because Kai is no longer seeing it through this black and white, this grit. He's
Yeah.
awoken anew and ready to be positive. And that's how Monstrosity goes. But which episode was your favorite, Kyle?
Honestly, probably the second one, because I like the introduction of the mech. I think it's just so cool to have a mech like that, or calling it a mech because of the set, but also knowing that it's almost like a sentient robot essentially. And I just really like that. It's probably the Transformers fan in me, but I just really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
And yeah, just the Cave of Change. I just thought that was really cool.
That as a concept was really cool. We've got some
Yeah.
comments Green Ninja 248. Do we know that the compass was for the bounty? It's just heavily implied that it's the compass for the bounty, um, because it's the only other piece of machinery that Kai shows up with when he returns to the show. It also somewhat matches up the design that we've seen be used for, like the land bounty in the past, as well as other ninja vehicles. And considering, that's a ninja vehicle that Kai shows up with, it's kind of just implied to be the bounty's scanner. Um, I don't think they outright say it.
Yeah, that makes sense. That
Uh,
makes a lot.
do you want to talk theories? Theories? I've seen a lot of theories and interpretations from the show. Um, so one
I
theory
have
that
a
I saw, and it was kind of a crazy one, but
yeah.
I mean, like, I don't personally think that's the interpretation that they were going with, but I saw this one theory that the former master, of fire, was actually another
Yeah.
confused former master of heat, so Wildfire's predecessor, and it was, you know, he was a master of heat that didn't know he was a master of fire, similar to how Wildfire didn't know that she was a master of fire. Um, and you could
Uh,
kind of find a way to mix it in where you see, like, he was able to create a robot, maybe he was able to create the care bot that took care of Wildfire. Um, like, there's that interpretation, and then also the fact that, there was another fact, and I'm forgetting it now. I'm blanking.
no,
Yeah, the carebot already knew
don't
how
blame.
to. Yeah, the carebot already knew how to, take care of someone with a fire element, with heat. Um, so I saw that one floating
Uh,
around, on TikTok the other day, of people thinking that maybe he was actually a former master of heat that just didn't know, and he assumed he was a master of fire. That kind of slots him into the timeline a little easier if he was. And we do know that heat was a pre-merge element because Ron 2 knew about it. So that's a fun theory.
yes, that's a
um,
very fun.
but yeah, so that's a theory. Do you have any theories, Kyle?
Yeah, one of my theories is, with it being Dragons Rising, I feel like it's a pretty solid theory that dragons are going to rise.
Ah, you see, that's where you're wrong. This was Monstrosity, not Dragons Rising.
But set, the set,
Was
does it have
also,
any? Is it just Monstrosity?
it's actually Legends, so that's a fun segue. So obviously the two sets that
Yeah.
we got this wave, were Ninjago Legends sets, not Ninjago Monstrosity sets, which, based off of no information, no insider information, I have nothing to back this up. It does kind of lean to the fact that, if these perform well, we will receive more legend sets in the future, which would be nice. I would really appreciate that because they're really cool.
Yeah,
um,
that would be awesome.
and if you guys want to stay
That would.
tuned to our channel, later this week we're actually going to have an interview come out where we talk to, Demetrios, who was, the creator of the Guardian Dragon. He also finalized, the Fire Knight mech, and he had a good hand in developing Ninjago Legends Monstrosity. So be on the lookout for that video because it shows and sheds some light on some pretty cool stuff. And if you do want to see early concepts, and development such from Monstrosity and Legends, you can check out our Instagram page where we currently have early designs of both the show and set models. Um, but moving back to theories, I've got a cool one for you. Um, the
What?
Guardian Dragon, the Guardian Dragon was a matriarch, and that's why her horns were the way they were, and that's why she could talk. um,
That makes sense.
yep. I think that one's kind of just like a good interpretation. There's really nothing to refute
Yes.
either way, whether it was, a matriarch or not. But I'm pretty sure the Guardian Dragon, was a matriarch. Um, and I did kind of, talk to, Demetrios, um, about it, kind of just while we were standing, and I was like, hey, did you ever talk about getting a matriarch? And he was like, well, the Guardian Dragon kind of implements styles from what you would think of as a matriarch. So I'm taking that as my confirmation.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's pretty solid confirmation, I would say.
Absolutely. So what page are you on now? You're doing
On
great.
page, yeah, I just opened bag number 2. I'm on page
Hey, 23. Moving right along.
23. Making my
um,
way through it. That's it. I'm speed running. Speed building, I
yeah.
suppose, would be the term.
So what did you like about Monstrosity? What do you think was the
Oh,
highlights, like in terms of storytelling? It could be voice acting. What did you think was the best part?
I mean, honestly, I feel like it's the combination of it all that makes it so great. I mean, the animation style is fantastic. It's really fitting for the tone. I think the voice acting was really good. I mean, Vincent Tong being able to like give such a great performance that can be seen as like so different from how Kai might typically act. I think that's really impressive as well. And just everything about it. I mean, it's so cool to see a concept like this brought to life in a format like that, where I feel like it's something that is really going to get fans very excited and really just wanting more things like that, because it's just cool to explore different things like that that might not necessarily fit within the main seasons, but it's something cool that we can have as fans.
Absolutely.
So that's what I would say.
It's a fun little just side story. Um, Something that like we if you went your whole life without seeing Monstrosity, I don't
It is.
think it would change anything. But that being said, like it's a great character study. Like I continually tell people
Yeah.
that it truly gets you inside the mind of Kai, in a way that we don't really get to do in the
It is.
show. Um, that being said, I do think there were parts of it that could have been
Exactly.
given more time to breathe. Especially such like with the Guardian Dragon episode. I think it could have benefited from a few more minutes of development on her end or his end, um, because it had a very hard task of setting up the concept of monstrosity, what we would be dealing with in the next 2 episodes,
Yeah.
while also trying to do the entirety of Daidon's story in one episode, one 5-minute episode. And I do think it did a really good job. But I do think there was a small bit that was noticeable of just I wish it had more time. I'm happy with the time that I got. Um,
It did.
but what would you like to see in the future for Ninjago Legends?
Exactly. Yeah, that I feel the same. Could always have more, but oh gosh. Honestly, just stuff with the other ninja as well. Like I feel like sometimes, depending on what season it is, especially with all the new characters in Dragons Rising, I feel like there can be times when I'm like, hey, I'd love to see more of like, my favorite ninja. I'd like to see more like, more of like Cole or more of Zane or, stuff like that. And I think Legends is such a great opportunity to give us those side stories. It doesn't even have to be something that's like as recent as what this is within the timeline, but just like other cool stuff where it's like, hey, there's so much time that Ninjago spans across. And I think it really opens it up too for like cool set opportunities as well, because even looking at it from a sets perspective, those sets can, I feel like, completely appeal to people even outside of the Ninjago fans. Like, because it's just something like it's a really cool looking dragon and there's a really cool looking mech. And even if you just take away each of the minifigures included in those sets, I feel like they can stand on their own. So I think just stuff like that would be really cool. I mean, I would love to see one for like even someone like Jay, who really hasn't been like super present in Dragons Rising. I think that would be a character who would really benefit from that. So yeah, I think that would be cool.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Jay is very deserving
Got
of.
any opinions on that, Logan?
I do, and I'm telling you, I think there might be a small delay between us.
You might not.
But no, I think that Jay would be a great inclusion. for something like this, especially his time post Tournament of Source, um, where we see what happens to turn him into Rogue. I think that's a very interesting time period that I would really like to see. Um, fun fact: the entirety of the entirety of Ninjago Legends, at least the mech side, um, for the fire mech, was originally a J mech, and this is something that we're going to go into detail more over the coming days as we learn more. That was recently confirmed by a designer. Um, but yeah, all around, really, really cool and strong things. Okay, we've got some more comments. Natbox, I actually enjoy the show a little bit, but I do agree should have more time. Um, I agree. I agree. Green Ninja 248. What if they did a Legends theme for Cole's journey following Wu's ghost in Dragon's Rising Season 1?
Oh yeah, no, it's great. I saw as well something I forgot to mention too. Someone in the comments, Green Ninja 248, said that the soundtrack was especially great, and yeah, I think that's important to highlight as well. It was really good,
Absolutely.
very fitting.
Kyle is definitely like minutes behind me on this stream. That's really funny. I'm going to try to fix that here in a second. Do 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 do. But guys, let us know in the comments. What are your thoughts on Dragon's Rising? What are your thoughts on Monstrosity? Did you
Yeah.
have a favorite episode of Monstrosity? Um, I think we're gonna go for another 3 or so minutes. But if you guys want to let us know your thoughts, we'd love to hear them. But again, we have another video, full-on video, fully edited video, coming out later this week. That's going to be talking about the actual full-on development of Ninjago Legends. We shot it when we were at Brick World. Speaking of which, if you have seen the pictures, but if you see the pictures from the Brick World sets, the 2 make and takes, and you want to build those yourself, we do currently have the instructions up on the Masters of Brickjitzu Instagram page. So feel free to go over there after we finish this and build one for yourself. Natbox says that their dad said that it reminded them of Samurai Jack. I could see it. Green Ninja 248. If I had to pick a favorite, it would probably be episode 2. That's a good one. Everyone seems to like the robot. Kyle, what was your favorite character out of the 3? Was it Kai? Was it Daidan? Or was it the Fire Mech? And now we wait for his answer.
Yes. Sure. Definitely. Most definitely. Yep. Completely agree with that. Completely agree. Go. We got this part of.
But I think we're going to go ahead and wrap it there. You know, it's only 3 episodes. I don't want to stretch this any longer than it really needs to be to get the point across of just go watch it if you haven't watched it already. You've heard our thoughts on it. It's still such a good watch. But again, stay tuned for the end of this week where we're going to have our full-on interview with Dimitrios, who is from Lego. And then stay tuned in a few weeks where we have an interview with Tri Vong, the writer and illustrator for Garmadon and Shatterspin, which is a very fun.
Tribal.
He's a great guy. But guys, thank you so much for watching. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, and we will see you guys in the future. Follow us on Instagram, because that's where we post the most. All right, bye-bye.
Yeah.
Kyle, you got so delayed. I can hear you right now in real time, even though it's still. I think it might have been where my camera was on when it didn't need to be because I didn't have anything on the thing. Because now it sounds like we're pretty close, but I didn't realize that until like near the end. Yeah, we're a lot closer now.